Okay guys, so here we go with N8.ns.1. This is section C because we're going to finish this up today. And what we're going to be talking about in your Go Math book, as usual, is we're going to be talking about estimating irrational numbers. So, having said that, estimating irrational numbers. Now, don't forget, we're really trying to make sure we've got a lot of tools to be able to use in regards to real numbers. All right, now this begins with chapter 1, then there's chapter 2, then there's chapter 3, so on and so forth. Like always, like there was when you were doing Math 7 with Go Math. Now, we're using the Go Math tool specifically to make sure that everything's available that you're going to need to make things work out mathematically. It's going to take a lot of practice, so we're going to get to talking about that too. Now, in 8ns.1, and again, this is all in Go Math 1.1, we're headed for finishing that up today by talking about irrational numbers. We've talked about rational numbers and how to manipulate them as squares and square roots. We've talked about the basics on rational numbers. But on page 10, on page 10, all right, it begins by talking about estimate the value of the square root of 2. Now, let me say something to you about this, because I think it's important for you to understand that we're talking about the square root of 2. So we're looking for x times x equals 2. That multiplier right there is going to cause you some trouble here. But you might be able to figure out, you know what? I kind of think it's going to be close to or almost equal to 1.5 or 1 1/2. Now, this gives me an opportunity as your teacher to say to you that we're thinking in regards to a number line to get here, all right? And let me explain that to you. So here's our number line, our infamous tool that Mr. Kolesnick uses when he teaches Calculus 2. So it's not something that's childish or pediatric. It's something that you can use all the way through math to have a better understanding of what's going on. I know the square root of 2 has to be less than 2. Because 2 times 2 is 4, right? Think about that for a moment. So I know my number line has to at least go to 2. Fair enough? All right. I also know that the square root of 2 cannot be 1 or 0. All right? Now, we're going to take this a little bit further as we go on. But essentially what I'm saying here is the square root of 2 should be in between 1 and 2. Now wrap your head around that. 1 times 1 is certainly less than 2. 1 times 1 is 1, right? Well, 2 times 2 is 4. So it's between 1 and 2 because it's between 1 and 4. So what your book is suggesting to you is that it could be right in between the two. 1 and 2. And it's suggesting to you that an estimate for that could be 1.5 or 1 1/2.